G'day everyone, welcome along, welcome to Steel Horse Station. We are back with the new week. We're heading over to the Oaks, so we might just flick straight across there. I think everything is working correctly, so we'll get on with the day. I've literally just got the harvester out of the shed, because it's harvest season. Welcome along everybody. Great to see that you're out of hospital, John. That's excellent news. Hope you're fully on the mend with whatever they've recommended for you. Yeah. G'day, Jack Sarge. Now we will want that baler, but let's take the header down first. So we're in July. We've rolled forward. We can put a little bit more speed on the clock. And as you can see, we have, for a change, starting the day or the new month with a little bit of cash in the bank, which is a pleasant change. It's as a result of selling some of the silage that we made the last couple of times. So some interesting discoveries. I've done a little bit more testing and thinking with the silage, so we've got more to sell. Interestingly, I can't actually pick this lot up, and you'll see this is the problem that I was having. I've concluded that the problem, or one symptom of the problem I was having, I've concluded that the problem child is this conveyor. So because it's an auto load, I think what's happening is its detection area for auto loading is way too big, and that it's actually grabbing the chaff that we dropped in this bunker. And when I was making this one, it was grabbing that chaff that was in this bunker. So, and because it mixes those up potentially when you're filling trailers and moving, I think that's how we lost a couple of 100,000 litres somewhere along the way, because when I try these bunkers on a standard map, I don't have any issues with them configured like this. It's only when I put this conveyor in that things start to get complicated. So what I'm thinking is that we will sell this conveyor and instead purchase one of these, which we were going to buy anyway, because we can use one of these forage pickups to pick up the silage out of the bunker, and it will fill the trailer for us. And we can also use it when it comes time to harvest the cornfield over there. So we'll take care of that a little bit later on. But for now, let's run down. One of our oat fields is ripe and ready to go. So we can run down and get that going. It's the smaller of the two, so it's, whoops, I've obviously got, oh, that's what I turned on. So I also have another little issue which I'll talk about later, because I'm curious if people have any ideas now, but for now I need to turn off sensors and trailers, so that, there we go. So it's related to auto drive, the other little curiosity problem I'm having when I try to get auto drive to deliver from the bunker to the animal dealer. If I drive it myself, it works beautifully. If I put it on auto drive, a very curious thing occurs that I haven't encountered before, so more of that later. Now we might just pull in the gate there, so we can straighten that up. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Oops, slide in now. Where have you gone? Oh, you're coming, you're just slow. Getting a bit carried away. Where are we? So as you can see, nice right field of oats. I'll be interested to see how much we get off here. Let's turn you off. And see if we can line you up a little bit better. Now I did, one of the things we can think about while I'm harvesting, I did have a quick gander at the contracts. Let's go there. So there are 4 harvest contracts available of varying sizes. Let's put details on. So kind of an hour's work up to 3.5 hours work. And what's interesting though is 10, 14, 32 and 35. So if we have a look at the map, we're obviously down here. We're about to do 62. 32 and 35 are up there, and 10 and 14 are up here. So it would be hard for them to be much further away is really the challenge. So I'm not sure that they're for us. But we can kind of see how we're feeling about it. The field next door is not going to be ready in today's game day, so oops, turn you on. Let's tootle around and cut ourselves a headland. We can get ourselves lined up. A little bit noisy this harvester, but does the job quite nicely. Because it's only narrow, that's the other thing that it appealed to me in terms of fitting into the scenario we've got here, but traipsing across the map with it in order to do work might be of limited value. So we just need to think that through a little bit. Oops, we should be producing a straw swath here, shouldn't we? I'm not getting a straw swath. Better. Get it much better if I hit the correct key. It's nice progress to have to be harvesting our own crop. So It's a good start. It's the yield. The yield's not awful, so we've done sort of one side at about 25%, so we should get round the lap with any luck. Might, jump in the cab. I don't know how many of you are F1 fans, but it was nice to get up this morning for me and be able to watch replay of first race of the season, which I quite enjoyed. Good times for Aston Martin. Alonso was pretty excited and pleased with himself, and some vintage passing. There's plenty of life in him, that's for sure. Certainly got all of the ingredients for an interesting season, I think. I also enjoyed seeing Perez, you know, reasonably close to Verstappen. I like watching Perez race. Right, so there we go. And we're going to need the trucks in a minute, which means they're currently over at the animal dealer because I was trying to resolve this auto drive issue, so I'll show you what I mean. We'll do a little bit of troubleshooting. I've put a question out to Farmer Ed just in case he's seen it before, and I told him that I would include the example in the stream so that he can see some footage of what's happening. Because from my perspective, it's a bit of an odd one. So let's go down here. We'll get the second headland off quite neatly. Yes, indeed, John. I tend to agree. I think McLaren are in for another hard year, and I think Daniel's decision to part ways and look after himself first might prove to be a good one. Whether or not we see him racing in F1 again remains to be seen, but Daniel Ricciardo I'm talking about. Oscar Piastri had a bit of an unfortunate start. Nothing you can do about it. It's like everybody struggles from time to time in the first race of the year. You don't really know where you are until you put the cars on the circuit. So G'day, Walter. Welcome along. I'm not sure entirely what you mean. So I don't know if that's autocorrect has got in the way or just not following you, Walter. But whatever the case, great to have you in. One of the things that I did during the week was put out a short video review on it's interesting, put out a short video review on the map object hider. So I wasn't planning to cover it on here. Mainly because at the moment I can't see a use for it on this map, so I didn't think it was particularly relevant to demonstrate. Depending on what we do tomorrow, I'm actually thinking of, there we go, we got 2 full laps. How about that? So I might put the pipe out and stop there for the minute. I'm actually thinking of for tomorrow morning's stream, rather than going to Newlands, potentially going to do a map tour of Tuscan Hills, or Hills of Tuscany, I think it's called. I had a quick look at it this afternoon and it looks very nice and a bit interesting, so if people have got a point of view on that, let me know. There's plenty of opportunity to influence my plans there. Not quite the hills of Adelaide, but my short time on it, I kept looking for the little blue boxes. So I'm fortunate enough to spend a few weeks in Tuscany just before COVID, or the year before COVID, or 6 months before COVID struck, and included a couple of farm stays. So I absolutely loved it. And yes, the hills of Adelaide do grow similar stuff. So we'll just switch gears for a second. So here's where I've been having a really interesting little problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of step out of our role play for a minute, and we will just feed in, for the purposes of the exercise, some silage into the trailer. Fill you. That'll do for the exercise. Now, normally when I've been sending it over here, I fill both the trailer and the truck, but for all intents and purposes, it doesn't appear to make any difference. And so what I've been doing is using the autodrive creators course, Farmer Ed and Co.'s work, is use autodrive to drive it over from our silo at the farm. Oops, we're getting a little bit low on fuel. That'll be enough for the minute. And so if we do that, then the sell point we want is Fisher's bale sale. Oh, sorry, wrong way around. Ideally, what we want to be able to do is my load bunker 1, main yard load bunker 1, and tip it at Fisher's bale sale. All looks pretty straightforward. All right, pick up and deliver for silage. Now, we've cut off the road trip for the moment, but you get the idea. And if I turn this on and tell it, whoops, goodness me, let's try clicking the right buttons. Pick up and deliver from there to there on and Fisher's bale sale. And it all works fine. So the route that it's following is the correct. And it's not the correct route because I've changed something. And it's working. So the problem I've been having, that's part of the problem, is the regular route. Probably need to turn that off. And let's see here. The problem that I just demonstrated there was part of my proposed solution, but that's not actually the problem statement because I put an extra route in. So if let's go here and delete this guy. Delete, Alt. Right, break that route. Let's do that again. And I will correct the let's fill you up and go back and try that again, and then I can describe when it does what I think it's going to do. So what you just observed was that if the truck drives through the sell point, it unloads correctly. However, what I didn't let it do is it can't then get out of that shed. It fails on the exit. If I use the route that was the normal one that's provided, it all looks great. It backs up to the sell point. So you'll see in a minute, it'll cut across, it'll take the route, it'll drive forward and then back the trailer in. And so you can see it's going to straighten up. All is perfect. But then it gets to the sell point and it should be able to back all the way through here, which it does, but it doesn't empty because in reverse it gets to there. It appears to know that it's past the sell point or past the trigger, but it hasn't actually emptied the trailer or the back of the vehicle. And so that's why I created that secondary path for it to drive through. And what you saw the first time was that if it drives through, it does empty. So I don't know if anybody's got any clever ideas as to what's going on. I then tried the forage wagon on the tractor, and exactly the same thing happens. If it drives through the sell point, it will empty. If I do it manually and reverse up to the sell point, it has no trouble. So you can see here, if I turn this off, it's just sitting there waiting now. because it's not empty and it's past the sell point. If I drive forward a little bit, quite happily detects the trigger. So it's not a trigger issue per se, it's an auto drive issue of some sort. And so just for completeness, so the setting that I turned off back when we were in the yard was the way I was trying to debug it. So I turned on sensors and trailers so that it would hopefully give me some clues as to what was going on. And so what happens when you do that, if we come back and just run it again, and we won't spend long doing this, I'm just trying to capture the footage so that Farmer Ed can add his 10 cents worth, because it's got me a bit stumped. So if we do it again, you can now see, so that little white box that's in front of the vehicle is the sensor for the truck. So that's the collision detection sensor, and you can see the height it is, right? It's just below the top of the wheels, and it drives forward to the point where it needs to go backwards. And then because it's reversing, it puts a new one in. Now you'll note, the first thing you notice is that that box is much higher. And so what I think is happening is that detection sensor, when it's in reverse, is too low. And the reason that that's bizarre is because, as we demonstrate, when we're in manual mode, we have no trouble with the actual vehicle. So it's not, that detection box is not something that's driven by the vehicle. It's some issue with auto drive, I think. And the other interesting aspect of settings, so if I come in here and have a look, just for completeness, I can change somewhere in here. Collision height over the ground is currently set at 1.75 because I've found that driving around the map, that's working the best on here on the Oaks, generally out on the road. If I drop that down to say 1 and apply it, and we just quickly run the same test again, we see another interesting thing. We turn it on again. So now you'll see that detection box at the front, if I get out of the trees, is actually lower. So it's almost on the ground. So I think it's because the measurement point for that box is actually the center of the box is a meter off the ground, not the actual bottom of the box, which is kind of interesting in itself. But when it goes to the back box is still at the same height, so it hasn't lowered. So it appears to me there's a difference between how the sensor boxes are working going forwards and going backwards. That's the only thing I can explain. What I'll do, just so I don't forget, because if I tried to run auto drive generally with that collision height, then driving around vehicles will just stop out on the road because there's little bumps and things that they run into. So apply that. And the only other thing I can do, if I turn the navigation lines off, drive forward, Right, you see, no problem detecting it. If I turn on the collisions, you can see, as best I can tell, that's saying that the trailer's detecting the collision for the tip point for the trailers within the collision, as is the truck, which is borne out by the fact that when you back it in manually, you get the unload notification. So that's the tricky little problem we're having. My workaround, if there's nothing else I can do for it, is, as you saw earlier, which is to create another route where he drives in. And what I was trying to get him to do, and I just hadn't had much success. I proved that it works fine if it drives over the sell point, so that was one step in the right direction. And then what I was trying to do was use Farmer Ed's course to get him to back in all the way to the back and then drive forward to come out, which is why I tried this F-cell point to see if I could get it to work that way, and I hadn't been able to solve that. Now I'm not going to try and diagnose and do that in the stream unless there's particularly strong interest to do that. I'm not sure that it's seeing the problem and having it demonstrated is mildly interesting, but beyond that, troubleshooting it probably is not particularly interesting. So that's what we're doing. Oh, that's what I've been doing. So I need to do two things. I need to empty that and send you now back to the yard. So we're going to want to fill you up with the oats we're harvesting. So if anybody's got any clues or suggestions on how to deal with that, I'd be most interested. But it is a little curious one. And as I said, my conclusion is that it's actually an auto drive issue. So now we want to go to the main yard so that we can fill up with fuel. Oh, let's turn that little box off again. While we're down here, let's grab you. Well, we can actually send you, because we've got grass to pick up out of field 76, haven't we? So if we send you to field 76, we just want you to drive to field 76, will be fine. Thank you, sport. So there we go. So little curiosities. Now, while you're here in the tractor, good medium size. So what I was trying to do was set it up so that I had the conveyor in the bunker and I could just have the truck running a loop to sell to empty the bunker, and it just doesn't want to work. but never mind. I can show you what I was talking about before. So even though that's the last 57,000 litre, it'll be interesting actually. Whoops. Don't you dare. So it says it's got 57,000 litres of silage in this little pile in the back here. But when I tried yesterday, I couldn't pick it up for love nor money. No. Cannot scoop it up. And I know I can scoop up out of this bucket because the very first load I did manually before we got the conveyor, so hence my conclusion that the conveyor is creating problems. Right. So there we go. Few little operational quirks as you try to get the automation and the mods working. Our corn's looking pretty good. The conclusion I've reached is the time of year and the rate at which it's growing. We can't deal with the weeds. We don't have a hoe. We can't. If we spend our money on a hoe, we then can't solve some of our other problems. So I figured we'll just have to live with the fact that there's weeds in our chaff for now. Let's go back and get you. Need to put some fuel in the truck first. That'd be a good thing to remember. With any luck, this truck and trailer combination will go pretty close to getting the oats off the field. And then the other thing we need to think about, the conveyor has chaff in it now. That's what I was talking about. I mentioned just in passing at the beginning. It appears to have grabbed, so all I was doing was emptying that silage into a trailer, and then all of a sudden it decided to grab what I think is the chaff from this end bunker, even though it's in that one. And as you can see, I tipped some on the floor to see if I could get it to force it to pick up the silage, but it wouldn't, or it would do a load and then it would revert to the chaff. So there's definitely a problem with that conveyor, and looking at that, there's not much option to fiddle with it under the covers. It looks like it's got something to do with the size of the defined pickup area that it sources from. So it, if you like, it's got a trigger that's way too big. Now we're going to be able to thread the needle through there. No, try not to push everything around. Yeah, I can, John. It doesn't seem to make any difference in terms of where I position it. I mean, the thing that started me down looking for the problem was the fact that in that middle silo I put over 500,000 litres of chaff in it, but we only ended up with 300,000 litres of 300,000 litres of silage. So it's not, it's a whole bunch of things that aren't working right. I think what I'll do is, rather than try and mess with the truck sitting there, we'll come down the end here. I went into and had a look at the code for the silos, the bunker silos themselves, and they're almost identical to the Giants base game ones. So I formed the view that they themselves weren't creating the problem. There's certainly nothing really odd, and as I said, when I put them on another map and I don't use that conveyor, I don't have a problem, or I didn't encounter a problem. So I tried them on Elm Creek, for example, and tried different configurations of and I was largely able to replicate the problem that I'm having if I use the conveyor. So I decided that it was all just too hard, and we'll just deep fix the conveyor, and we need the forage head. And when I discovered that the forage front attached tractor mounted forage harvester will pick it up in the silo, I thought, well, that's probably a good solution for us anyway. So we've got, 4 tractors at the moment. We're going to get another one. We just need one now with a front mount, and that's a good point. We haven't looked in the shop today. What's for sale? T6, not as big as I would like. What are you? Subsoiler. Those, don't see any need for most of that. Yeah, I think that I think the pickup head will do really well for us. So it'll sort of fit nicely with what we need, both out in the field on the cornfield and also in the bunkers. So we'll go with that for now. And down the track, if we get a bit more successful, we might be able to afford or I would hope we'll be able to afford a wheel loader with a high volume bucket on it. And we can probably pick up, sort of 4 or 5 times the amount in a load, so that filling a trailer is only 5 or 6 bucket loads rather than the 15 it takes at the moment. So we'll just see. Play it by ear. It's all a learning experience. So those of you that are in the stream, what do you think about the idea of doing a bit of a tour and seeing what we can set up on Tuscan Hills or Hills of Tuscany for the stream in 10.5 hours time? That's something people are interested in having a look at, or would you prefer I just continue with the normal programming and go to Newlands? Yeah, it's coming along quite nice. It's up around the 100. I don't know what the soil type is, John. That's I can't remember. Let's have a look. Yeah, so it's a bit of a mix. Good soil and not so good soil. And so if we have a look at yields, yeah, it's kind of one of those a tale of two cities. There's 100, and then one end of the field sitting up almost 125. So it's kind of a real averaging. But that'll be a nice source of income for us. Oh, what am I doing? Managed to drive over the crop without putting the header down. That's always a good way to make a meal of your yield, isn't it? And as you can see, yes, we do have crop destruction on. So we just wiped out 40 feet of the field because the header driver's an idiot. The combine driver, rather. Just take another end off. It's quite a long field, long harvester, this one. I'm not sure which hedge you're referring to, John. Welcome along. A couple of people have popped in. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't been with us before, we're on the Oaks. Putney's first proper harvest. We've only got one field to do today because the other one's not ripe yet, but that'll keep us busy. Yes. Looks like I missed a bit coming down there. This time when I get to the other end, let's try put the header down. Let's do that bit that I missed. It's better. Good. Well, that's one vote for Tuscany. To be fair, I'd probably add my own vote to it, so I've got it downloaded and ready to go, so sort of thinking I'd like to, if we end up doing some work on there, I'd like to try and use largely Italian equipment where we can. I don't have a good sense of the amount of choice that I'll have, but I'm certainly aware of a few choices. Oh, we're full. I've been driving around with the pipe out by the looks. Good on you. Well, I was a bit, I think I might have mentioned just before when I just had a quick look at it. Yes, you did. I was intrigued that the map maker hadn't chosen to put any of those little blue boxes that are dotted all over the Italian countryside, the little speed cameras that they seem so fond of, which my memories of Tuscany are absolutely everywhere. And dad jokes are very welcome. They're a time-honoured institution in this household. Okay, let's see here. Making good progress getting it off. my big project for the weekend. I've got a sliding gate on the back of my property, which gives us access to a laneway, and it's got a motor on. It's big, heavy concertina, or yeah, I suppose a 2-panel gate, telescoping gate. That's, I guess, what you'd call it. Anyway, the wire cable that is the heart of the operation decided that it really needed retiring and got itself all tangled up and messed up on Saturday. So, like all these things, that was a fairly challenging little bit of maintenance to sort out. The guys that installed the gate for me didn't necessarily install it with a view to maintaining it. So the brackets welded on, which would have been much easier to repair if I was able to just remove. But nonetheless, that was a few hours of my weekend. And then of course there was the obligatory qualifying session and watching of the race this morning. So we've got about a third. Jump out of the cabin for a bit. Whoop. Bit of a different view. Yes, it's amazing how annoying a couple of spot welds can be just where you don't need them. Learning to weld is one of those skills that's on my list of retirement projects. I just haven't got to it yet. And so as a result, I don't have any welding gear that I can deal with that sort of problem myself. Pretty much. I think just looking at the couple of places, they drilled it and bolted it with self-tapping metal screws, and then decided that, oh, just to make sure it doesn't move, we'll tack weld it as well. Well, they could have done it the other way around. He might have tack welded it in order to drill the screw holes, who knows, but the effect was still the same. Good gate. I'm quite happy with it. It's a good piece of engineering. The gate panels weigh about 500 kilos each, so no one's coming through it unless you've got the code. Gonna have a bit of straw again by the looks. The other thing we need to be thinking about is what sort of silo do we want? We haven't got any silo capacity at all at the moment. So, and I haven't necessarily been out looking for any. So if there are recommendations for appropriate regional designs or British silo configurations in general, I'm happy to take recommendations. They would be much appreciated. Farm Sim Brisco's got silos on some of the other farms, but of course we chose somewhere to live that doesn't have a silo, so we're going to have to put that in our yard. I might do an empty the next time past the trailer. We're going to get a good yield off that field there, I think, too. One drives up, line up between the two rows of straw. Let's just grab that. I think I've already destroyed enough crop on this field. Let's back you over here. So if we have a look at, where are we? They're going to be in here, aren't they? Silos. What have we got? They all look a little on the large side. There's Farm Sim Brisco putting in. Grain storages, manure heaps. Pretty sure the grain silo system is on the mod. That looks a little on the large side for us. There we go. So he's got these Unia bins, which we can't afford. And what's that? It's a storage hall with a silo in it. For 75 grand. I've seen worse ideas. 75 we could probably find. What's that one? It's just a silage shed. Okay. I don't know that we necessarily need enormous capacity. They're all the placeable ones. AGI stuff's expensive. We could always go with a hopper bin if we had to. Prefer not to. Have to mess with augers though. And then of course we got these meridians. Right. So something like this, John, is that what you... We can ponder that for the minute. We've got 2 trailers that'll do. So we can make the decision next time. Or we can just sell it and take the cash. That's, of course, the other option. The shed type. I think the $75,000 shed's potentially doable because we've got, before I turn around, let's have a look here. So we've got $250,000. We've got 70,000 pounds worth of silage still sitting in the bunker there, and another field's worth of grass to make. So I think we can. It means delaying a tractor, but I don't think we've necessarily got much choice. So I think that might be the way to go. We won't quite get there today. Well, when we finish doing this, we'll sell the conveyor and buy the forage header, and that'll allow us to empty the silage that we've got sitting there. We of course can bale this straw, but it'll be a few months before we get a price for that. Oh, and I didn't notice when I opened the tool what's the it doesn't show us as having oats yet. What do we got here for oats? So we've got a few months before our oats get to the price. We'd like to, if we get stuck, we'll sell them, but we'd like to ideally hold them a bit longer than we were able to hold them last time. Whilst it's harvest season, unless I'm kind of thinking that this harvester is not necessarily a fast way for us to make money. I would take a harvest contract if it was nearby. But I don't think sending the equipment across the map's necessarily a winning strategy. I would also like to get a little bit of, 1,000, 2,000 litres of wheat or barley so we could feed that to the chickens, because they're going to need some feed. I don't really want to have to buy it. Not that we've got a lot of chickens. So they're not eating us out of house and home. Come on, round you go. Thing about this harvester, it doesn't go very fast backwards. Let's get that there. And that's pretty much this field harvested by the looks. There's just one little smattering of stalks just that I missed over here, wasn't there? And litres, we can drop you in the truck. Beautiful. Thank you, mother, for the rabbits. Which way do you load? The other way. Right. I think you can sit there for the minute. Now let's ponder. We know we've got baling to do. Let's head up to the yard. Why do I feel like I'm missing a truck? Oh no, we sent it next door, didn't we? So I think what we do, let's get rid of this conveyor. So we need to be in here. There you are, belt systems, 30,000. So we dropped 8 grand on that experiment, plus potentially a couple of 100,000 litres of silage on that little foray. I think this device would work great in a if this was one big bunker rather than 3, so it only had one source of product, I think it would work fine. Right, so that's now then given us enough to go here and buy one of these. And given we're Massey gear, I'm thinking we'll stay with the red. Let's design colours. White. Yeah, there you go. So we're going to buy one of those. No other decisions to make there. Right. So we need to send a tractor. You'll be able to pick it up on the back, won't you? I'll send one of the boys up to the store to grab that. So you need to go to the dealership. Oh, yep. Looks like it's Ringo. If you go. So we've got 20,000 and we've got, what did I say? Yeah, a couple of 100,000 in here, so that'll work. Now that that's out of there, can I pick that up? Let's just see. Nope. Very odd. So it's almost like it belongs to that lot now, which tends to suggest there is a collision missing from the bunker, but that's all right. We need to pick up some grass from the next field so we can jump through the hedge here. And we should have a tractor around here somewhere. Where's it gone? There it is. And all being well, we should be able to get you. That is the correct course. We want you on the first waypoint. B and B. And we want you collecting. And then we want you to load field 76, drop you in bunker 3, unload, and that is grass. You're gonna get stuck on that tree because you chose to go that way. Let's just turn you off, take you back. Where's the start of that course? Right. Where is the start of that course? Why are you not showing me the start? That's the correct course. Seven-meter windrow, 2 headlands. Yep. The course is behind me. What is happening? Are you going to straighten up now? Where are you trying to go? God on the tree. What do you keep doing that for? Use field 76, come on. Goodness knows why you're going all the way back over there. You have no grass in it. You got a fraction. Curious, 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 curious. Let's stop you. Again. Don't want the... Why are you trying to go to the bunker? Maybe I've got the wrong. It's not unload combine, drive, pick up and deliver, right. Load, that's what I want. Very confusing. I'll leave you go for a minute, see if you can sort yourself out. I'm gonna move you out of the way. Oh, maybe it might want to go to the field now. And we won't use this tractor to do the bunker leveling. Just to get the blade out of the way. Let's pop over to the dealership. So it looks like our other tractor is over there. Bingo. Oh, that was the other thing I bought last time, was a bale wrapper as well, so that if we wanted to do while we had cash, if we wanted to do a baling contract, we now have the means. Can't tow that back at this point. We'll pick that up at another stage. Now you can go back to the main yard. What's so hard about that? Where on earth are you going? Yes, we back in the 70s here in Australia, we there was a TV show called Ask the Leylands, and it was a couple of brothers who made, well, it was reality TV, 70s style, so they travelled all over Australia, and the theme song was Ask the Leylands, and the concept was you could write in and ask them to go to places and they would. And so it became a bit of a silent Ask the Leyland brothers, yeah. Part of the chorus was travel all over the countryside, ask the Leylands. And that's what he appears to be doing here. Maybe this, I haven't looked, maybe this auto drives course is on, yeah, it's only one way up this lane, so that doesn't help. It was Sunday night was the only night in the household I grew up in that we were allowed to, big treat as kids, have dinner in front of the television, and we didn't necessarily control the viewing, but the Leyland Brothers was staple fare, as was the Waltons there for a period. Now if you're actually working, you're supposed to turn in and start this course. I don't understand what I'm not doing right. Thinking about something. Don't understand why you're going that way. Makes no sense to me at all. Okay, I give up. Bad joke. Turn you off. I've got something tangled up. I just can't for the life of me think what it is. Pick that up. Oh, now you want to go there. Now you want to go back to the bunker. Not interested, Chief. Not interested at all. Right. Let's try it this way. Let's go to nearest waypoint. Let's start you. And you should turn you off. Yes, thankfully. Why are you not? You're not happy at all. Okay. You're not picking up grass. Oh, that. You did catch an early one, Cranky. But I'm not having much joy. I can't get my man to pick up the grass. It's done it again. Why is it? Now we're picking up grass. There we go. Misbehaving. So we have taken our first oats crop off. So the smaller fields, whatever it is, 62, I think. We took our oats off. We have sold the conveyor and given that up as bad joke and bought the forage header. And so hopefully now we'll have a lot less issues with our bunker silos and also be able to get the product out. We decided not to do some contracts because the ones that were on offer, well, there's a couple more available now, but the ones that were on offer originally were all in the wrong part. Looks like there's some coming up a little bit closer. 51, 54 and 71. There's a lot closer. Barley on 82. Where's 82? 82's a bit closer. I reckon we should do the barley contract on 82. And John's home from hospital cranky, so that's good news. I reckon we take that contract now that I'm looking at it. 82, where are we? We will accept that. We might drive the harvester down there in a minute and get that sorted. Yeah, I think that's going to help us a lot. And the other choice that we're leaning towards, we just don't have enough money at the minute because we need somewhere to put the oats. And this might accelerate, we'll change the order in which we do things, is we're leaning towards, where is, down the end here, isn't it? This shed, which has got a silo in it. And so I haven't thought about where we'd put it, but seems to make sense to me that how do you access it from that end and that side? I may don't anyone know where the trigger is, the tip trigger is on the inside? I'm assuming it's an inside drop. So it is inside. It's more just a question of which end. So which door do I want to have the... Oh, where are we here? I'm lost. I'm lost. There's the houses. What have I done here? There's the church. There's the yard. Right. So there's a door on that side, just under the not enough money, and there's a door on the end. And I'm just trying to figure out orientation. So I don't want it that way. I could potentially put it... I think it's the side door on the long side. Right. So... So what we'll end up doing, I think, is putting it here on this side. That'll work. I was going to put a little track through into this other field that we're just picking the grass up off anyway, so... Is that actually a... That's just an exhaust fan on the end. So potentially we could put that up fairly close if we move the equipment, and then I'll put the track on this end. Might work. And that'll make sure that if we need vehicle access, we've got plenty of room to swing vehicles in there. I think that'll work out okay. Good. That's sounding like a plan. So what we need to be doing is when the other vehicle gets back, is we need to do a couple of loads of silage so that we've got enough money to buy that shed. Because in order to do the contract, we need to have some way of moving the grain, which means we need to get our oats out of our truck and trailer. What a complex life the Putneys lead with these on-the-fly decisions. I hope you had a good weekend, Cranky. The consensus here from people seems to be that they did. This is going to be a bit hard to get out of here with a semi-loaded trailer. A bit of a traction problem on the grass with the load. As you can see, I'm in a t-shirt today, so it's actually quite pleasant. Not hot, but it was turned into a nice autumn day. We had a bit of a storm overnight. Goodness me. That's why I rode it across the hill, but a bit of a traction problem. Getting there. Hard work. Just a little bit of wheel slip. G'day, Mark. You're never too late. We take all comers, whatever time, wherever it suits. However they can make their real life fit around my occasional streaming schedule. That's a good question. I don't know if I can. Let's have a look. We are in at the 36, 70. We could certainly go wide tyres, but no wheel weights. The twins would probably help. The twins probably wouldn't hurt in the bunker silo either. So that might be a good shout when we go back to the workshop. I might do that. I mean, we are underpowered for this trailer. There's no question about that. But we're just sort of fighting our way through. Now, Mark, we bit the bullet and bailed out of the conveyor. I did a bunch of testing and I'm pretty convinced that it's auto-loads from quite a wide area, and I think it was cause of the issues that we were experiencing. Certainly if I put these bunker silos on another map, and I tested it on Elm Creek, I didn't lose product. I didn't have issues loading or closing it off, so I think that'll work. So what we've done is sold the conveyor and bought the forage harvester head for the tractor, which we'd already decided we were going to buy anyway, so we could get the corn chaff off the field we've put corn in. So that's where we're up to. We have harvested a field of oats. We've taken a contract for a barley field which is nearby, which will be rather large, but the main thing we need to now do is sell some more silage so that we can afford the shed with the silo in it, so that we've got somewhere to put our oats, and free up the truck to go and finish the harvest that we've taken on. So we need another 50 grand to do that, which is a few loads of silage. So I was just waiting for the orange header to get here so that we could load up the trailer. That's basically where things are at. We're going to do here, loop back down, and by the time we get to the gate, probably about fullish for this. For those that didn't catch it, I'm looking for expressions of interest. The current working plan is that my next stream, so the Tuesday morning, Monday evening stream, will be a yeah, could potentially do that. I'm hoping we'll have a bigger trailer real soon, Frankie. That's kind of the next. But we just keep getting caught out with little things that are just distracting us from that. But yeah, so I'm thinking of doing a map tour / beginner playthrough on Hills of Tuscany. If people think that's an interesting idea, so rather than Newlands, tomorrow, it's not the end of Newlands, it's just I thought the Tuscan Hills map looks pretty interesting, and I was thinking about doing grapes on Newlands, and I thought, well, if we're going to do grapes and olives, maybe we do it on a map that's kind of set for it and potentially doesn't have some of the issues I've been wrestling with on Newlands. But it's quite clear I can't take the update for Newlands either. What I'm going to do, we're going to do that. So there's our little forage header. What we got there? Let's leave you there just for a tick. Go down and put some bigger wheels on. Landism. I don't think I've looked at it. What characteristics did you like, Mark? The other thing I liked about Tuscan Hills was the fact that it's hilly terrain and potentially is an opportunity to use Italian equipment, which I haven't really paid much attention to. So do some different things, and particularly those harvesters that work on the hillsides. I thought they looked kind of interesting and fun. So we want to a repair. Well, that wouldn't hurt either, is doing the repairs. But let's put twins all round. Youch, they're expensive. That's a bit bigger. Whoop, don't drive on his crop. Not the most road-friendly configuration. Five hectare average field size. They're large fields. Well, they're good size fields. So what's that? How's that compare to what we've got around us here? Our fields here. So where we've halved field 68. So field 68's 13. So it's okay. Field 76 is 6.5. 61's 3. Okay, so that gives us an idea. So they're good size fields. That's the size that I like. Okay. Now the downside of doing this is it'll work well for the jobs that we've got around here. But in terms of towing this to the sell point, we'll have to drive it ourselves because I think auto drive will get into trouble. I will have a look. I will definitely have a look. Are you in range by any chance? Where are you looking to send it? Okay. Are you misbehaving? There we go. That's better. Speedy. Rightio. That did the job. Not quite the way I was intending to do it, but what's that? Why does it look like the pickup is down on the forage wagon, but it won't let me? That's better. Okay, let's take this and flog it. Well, I might still go with Hills of Tuscany for tomorrow morning because I don't think I'll have time. I mean, that's only 10.5 hours away. I don't think I'll have time to set up a map. I haven't looked at at all between now and then, but it's potential for next week. Whoop. You don't like a full load of silage up this hill. But I don't feel like I'm getting the wheel slip I was getting before, so that's a good start. At the start of the stream tonight, or near the start of the stream, probably about 10 minutes in, I showed a little auto drive problem that I'm experiencing at the bale cell point. So if you've got a few minutes, either you, Mark, or Cranky, to have a look at it, I'd appreciate any tips or clues. I'd send a message to Farmer Red, who may get a chance to have a look at it at some point. It's a bit of an odd one. Basically, the synopsis is, I won't replay the whole thing, but the synopsis is, if I send one of the vehicles, whether it be at the truck or this trailer with silage, to sell at the bale cell point using Farmer Ed's course, it gets there fine and just sits there. It backs through the cell point and doesn't empty. If I drive there manually, it picks up the trigger, empties fine. If I change the course and get the vehicle to drive through the cell point, so into the shed, it unloads fine. It's only when it's trying to reverse through that there's an issue. So it looks like there's a difference between how auto drive detects when the vehicle's going backwards versus when it's going forwards, which is quite odd. JBMTB, do you find when you are between Jan and March you just skip the days as there's very little to do? No. Generally. So the short answer is it depends. It depends what I'm doing and what the map is. It's a really good question, JB. But I find that I have no difficulty most of the time filling up the year. So I've always got fields that need work done on them, or I'm adding something, or there's animals to look after. It's all, I don't tend to have, now that could just be my style of play, that I get a lot of things sort of happening that and it's a bit like plate spinning, so you just sort of keep bumping them along. Certainly if it's quite conceivable that you can create, depending on how you set your farm up, but if you particularly like doing a couple of jobs that mean every year between jobs, then yeah, absolutely you could find yourself needing to fast forward. If I think about the series that I'm doing on Griffin, Indiana, I think we're in our 4th or 5th year. I'm doing 2-day months, and I think I've only skipped through 2 or 3 days. We're certainly into episode 43 or 44 or something. So I'm not a huge logging person, but I found on several maps, it's an opportunity to extend your fields, or do something, take a few trees out in that period. But it's for me, logging's certainly not the main game. And I've never contemplated playing without seasons on, because I kind of like the change of weather. That's the neat thing about it. There's so many different ways to play, and there's no downside to skipping through. I mean, you're just winding the clock forward, so if that's what it is, that's what it is. Whoop, there's a big tire there. But anyway, that's we need a couple more loads of that, and that's going to take us pretty close to the 75 we need to put the shed in, so that we can do the harvest in Friday's stream. But for now, I think that's where we might leave it. It's just gone 9:30 in the evening here in Oz, and I'll be back on in streaming in just under 10.5 hours time on the Tuscan Hills. So thank you very much everyone for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have, and I look forward to seeing those of you that can make it tomorrow. Thanks everyone. See you next time.